the way, I am Teacher Mael and welcome to our video tutorial in Mathematics 9. In this video, you will know more about quadrilaterals. So get ready, sit back, relax, and learn.
Let us explore together on what is in your modules for Quarter 3, Week 1 in Mathematics 9. Take a look at these given illustrations. Maybe these are some of the places and things that you wanted to go. Now, do you see parts that shows quadrilaterals? Can you give some significance of their designs? What might happen if you change their designs? Now, if you are going to imagine the shapes that you've seen in the picture, how do they look like? Of course, they looked like this. And how do we classify these figures? They are classified as quadrilaterals. Quad means four, lateral means sides. Therefore, a quadrilateral is a closed plane figure consisting of four line segments or sides. It has also four angles or vertices. How do we name quadrilaterals? Let us consider quadrilateral love. In labeling or writing its name, the vertices must be consecutive like this: L, O, V, and E. The letters or the vertices are arranged consecutively. It could be clockwise or counterclockwise. Now, let us identify the different parts of a quadrilateral. Let's have the side first. Now, to recall, a side or a line segment is part of a line with endpoints at both sides. How many sides do we have in this quadrilateral love? We have side LO, side OV, side VE, and side EL. Or we can also write it this way: LO or OL, OV or VO, VE or EV, EL or LE. Now, the line that you can see above the two capital letters is the symbol for line, segment, or side. Ma'am, are side LV and OE are considered sides of this quadrilateral? The answer is no, because LV and OE are not consecutive points. So they are not considered as sides of the given quadrilateral love. Now let's have vertices. How many vertices do we have in this quadrilateral love? We have L, O, V, and E. So we have four vertices in a quadrilateral. Remember, when naming a sides, the 2 points must be consecutive, and in naming a quadrilateral, the vertices must also be consecutive. Now let's have the angles. How many angles do we have in a quadrilateral? There are four angles. So what are these angles? First, we have angle L, or we can name it using three capital letters. So angle L can also be named as angle ELO or angle OLE, angle O or angle LOV, or angle VOL, angle V or angle OVE, or angle EVO. And we have angle E or angle LEV or angle VEL. Now, remember, when using three capital letters in naming an angle, the vertex must always be at the center. Can you identify the opposite sides of this quadrilateral? Let's try. So we have side OL and EV, side LE, and side OV. So how many pairs of opposite sides do we have? So we have two pairs of opposite sides. Now let's have opposite angles. How many pairs of opposite angles do we have? Can you name them? We have angle L and angle V, angle E and angle O. So we have two pairs of opposite angles. And what about diagonals? How many diagonals do we have in a quadrilateral? To recall, a diagonal is a line segment joining two non-consecutive vertices of a polygon. So in this quadrilateral, we have diagonals LV and EO. And always remember that the sum of the measures of the angles of a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. Why? It's just like two triangles. Remember that the sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. If we are going to combine or put these two triangles together, they form a quadrilateral. So meaning if we're going to add 180 degrees plus 180 degrees, the sum is 360 degrees. Since you know already the parts of a quadrilateral, at this time we are going to describe and define each quadrilateral. In defining each, we will consider the number of sides that are parallel, number of angles that are congruent, and the number of sides that are congruent as well. Now, can you identify this quadrilateral with two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? This is what we call a parallelogram. What about a parallelogram with four right angles? I know that you are very familiar with this, and this is what we call a rectangle. What about a parallelogram with four sides congruent? That is a rhombus. And what about a rectangle with all four sides that are congruent? Of course, it's a square. Another quadrilateral with two pairs of congruent adjacent sides. You are very familiar with that and you are fond of playing with this every summer. Of course, that is a kite. We have also this one, a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel. How do we call this quadrilateral? That is a trapezoid. A trapezoid can be called an isosceles trapezoid. Isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid with congruent legs. The sides opposite that are parallel are called the bases, while the two opposite non-parallel sides are called legs. After defining each quadrilateral, let's have this tree diagram to deepen our understanding. Always remember that a quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. Now the quadrilaterals here are grouped into three. The first group is composed of trapezoid and isosceles trapezoid. This first group has only one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. And the second group, we have here parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and square. In this group, they have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. And on the third group, we have here the kite. The kite has no parallel side at all. Now, to deepen our understanding, let us answer these following questions. First question, is a square a rectangle? The answer is yes. A square is a rectangle with four congruent sides. Next question, is a square a rhombus? Yes, a square is a rhombus. It is a rhombus with four right angles. Now, if you're going to study this tree diagram, it shows the relationship of each quadrilateral, which means that parallelogram, we have there rhombus, rectangle, and square, meaning these three quadrilaterals are considered or under parallelogram. So, if my question goes this way, is rhombus a parallelogram? What do you think? Yes, the answer is yes. Is a trapezoid a parallelogram? Of course, no, because trapezoid is not found under parallelogram. Next, is an isosceles trapezoid a quadrilateral? Yes, isosceles trapezoid is a quadrilateral because it has four sides. Now, let us focus our attention to parallelograms. Can you give the quadrilaterals that are considered parallelogram? We have rhombus, rectangle, and square. Now, let us discuss the conditions which guarantee that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. First, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. Now let us consider this example. We have quadrilateral ABCD. As you can see with the symbol you have there, that side AB is congruent to side DC, and side AD is congruent to side BC. Now, if side AB is equal to 5, then what is the measure of side DC? Correct, it is also equal to 5. And if side AD is equal to 6, now, what is the length of side BC? Of course, it is also 6 because opposite sides are congruent. Number 2 condition. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of opposite angles are congruent. We have here quadrilateral ABCD, given that angle A is 110 degrees. Now, if we're going to look at, we have there the symbol that indicates that angle A is congruent to angle C and angle B is congruent to angle D. If angle A is congruent to angle C and angle A measures 110 degrees, then angle C is also equal to 110 degrees. Now, if angle D is congruent to angle B, their measurements are also equal. Third condition. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if both pairs of consecutive angles are supplementary. Supplementary angles means these are two angles whose sum of the measures is 180 degrees. Now let's have quadrilateral ABCD. Angle A is 110 degrees and angle C is also 110 degrees. Angle B is 70 degrees and D is 70 degrees. Now in the given figure, A and B are consecutive angles. The question is, are they supplementary? To check if they are supplementary, we are going to add the measure of their angles. So we have measure of angle A plus measure of angle B is equal to 180 degrees. Shall we substitute their measure? So you have there 110 degrees plus 70 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And we found out that the sum of the two angles, the angles A and B, is equal to 180 degrees. Now, are angle B and angle C also supplementary? Yes. What about C and D? Yes. What about angle D and angle A? Are they also supplementary? Yes, because if we're going to add, the sum of the two consecutive angles is 180 degrees. Next, a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if the diagonals bisect each other. We have here diagonal ABCD, and we have here diagonal AC that bisect BD and diagonal BD that bisect AC. When you say bisect, meaning to say the diagonal that bisects the other diagonal, it divides the other diagonal into two equal parts. Now, the two diagonals intersect at point O. Now, since they bisect each other, therefore we can say that segment AO is congruent to segment CO, and segment BO is congruent to segment DO. Condition number 5. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if each diagonal divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. In the given figure, the diagonals are AC and DB. If we consider diagonal AC, we can say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDA. And if we consider diagonal DB, we can say that triangle BAD is congruent to triangle DCB. Number 6. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if one pair of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. In the given quadrilateral, we have two pairs of opposite sides. If we consider side AB and side DC, they are congruent. as well as parallel. And if we're going to consider opposite side AD and BC, they are also parallel at the same time they are congruent. So therefore, that quadrilateral is a parallelogram. After knowing the conditions that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, we can write now here the properties of parallelogram. First, in a parallelogram, any two sides are congruent. Second, in a parallelogram, any two opposite angles are congruent. Third, in a parallelogram, any two consecutive angles are supplementary. Fourth, the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Fifth, a diagonal of a parallelogram forms two consecutive triangles. Now, any of these property, if found or present in a quadrilateral, then therefore that quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Always remember that all parallelograms are quadrilaterals, but not all quadrilaterals are parallelograms. I hope you learned something in our video today. So my dear students, keep on studying dahil sa math ang buhay ay aangat. Thank you for watching.